He was 93 years old. 93. Van Kirk flew nearly 60 bombing missions, but of course his famous one when he was 24 years old was on the Enola Gay, which was a B-59 Superfortress that dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, which of course accelerated the end of the war in the Pacific. Greatly accelerated it. Pretty much, that was pretty much the act that ended the war, so to speak. Granted, we had to drop another bomb and said, "Hey, we got more of these too. You gonna quit?" And Japan cried uncle. But the man was a hero, big piece of history, and we're gonna raise our glasses today and say goodbye to a hero and hope he rests in peace. And he did live a long, happy life. 93 years old. So, rest in peace, brother. But okay, that's the downer for the day. All right, another. I don't know. Would you call this a downer or not? If you again flip over to BuzzPo, there's an article there. Both parties may move to condemn Obama for the Bergdahl trade. It's up by Stephen Ale, who's one of the staff writers over at BuzzPo, and comes up with some great stuff. But evidently, the House Armed Forces Committee have a resolution to condemn Barack Obama for his trading 5 HVIs, high-value individuals, high-value targets, 5 known terrorists, for Bergdahl, who very well could be a deserter or worse. So there's some bipartisan efforts to kind of hold Obama responsible for maybe going over the line a little bit in this trade. Further news, though, on the Bergdahl front, and this is not in the article at BuzzPo, this comes from other sources of information that I have at hand, so this may be the first you're hearing about this, but Bergdahl is actually scheduled to go into the hot box next week. He is going to be, well, the term that I was given was interrogated, but the official term, I'm sure, is going to be questioned as part of the investigation into his disappearance and how he ended up in Taliban hands so long ago, and what he was doing while he was with them. So he's going to be thoroughly screened and questioned, and they're probably going to use a few techniques to get at the truth from him. So it's going to be official. The investigation is ongoing, and they're actually going to be talking to the suspect, as it might be. And who knows, maybe some of the truth will come to light, and we'll find out a little bit more about why he left his post and ended up in Taliban hands, and what his intents were. And even if his intents for leaving his post were not to join the Taliban, well, did he in fact willfully give over information once he was with them? Did he violate the code of conduct, so to speak? So we'll find all that out, of course, because the previous investigation did not include any kind of talking to Bergdahl at all. We couldn't. He was in Taliban hands. So it all came from whatever whitewashed and paperwork that they gathered in their initial cursory investigation way back when he first went missing. Back when the initial Dust 1, as they call them, Dust 1 reports came down, which is when they didn't know he was in Taliban hands yet. They just knew he was missing. But that there's a little update on the Bo Bergdahl situation, for those of you who are wondering. So there's a little bit more of the military news going on there. And speaking of military, the news. Chris Kyle, rest in peace, brother. Chris Kyle had his little altercation a while back with former governor of Minnesota, was it? I think it was Minnesota. But Jesse Ventura, former wrestler, Jesse the Body Ventura, who at this bar started shooting his mouth off about how SEALs shouldn't be fighting and a few more of them need to die and all kinds of negative comments, according to Chris Kyle and other people who were present, and ended up in an altercation with Kyle, who was gathered with fellow SEALs to memorialize Michael Mansour, who was another fellow SEAL, Medal of Honor winner, or earner, don't really win that thing, who fell in combat over in Afghanistan. I believe it was Afghanistan. But they were friends. Mansour and Kyle were friends, so they were doing a little SEAL-style memorial, and they were pouring one out for their homie, so to speak. And they were doing their toasts. I know my crew and our toast is to us and those like us, damn few left. As another one falls, there's even fewer and fewer of us. But I'm sure they were using whatever SEALs do. And Ventura made his quip and ended up in a verbal altercation, which turned physical. And Chris Kyle allegedly, or according to that side of the story, punched out Ventura, which is more than understandable. You don't walk into a funeral and start telling the loved ones there that, the loved one who passed was a worthless whatever, or they deserve to die, or what have you. You just don't do that. Well, after Chris Kyle was murdered, Jesse filed suit against his estate and against his widow for defamation, and he won the suit. Come on, guys. Of course he won the suit. Because Chris Kyle wasn't there to tell his side of the story. He wasn't there to defend his story and debate what happened. All they had was Jesse Ventura saying, the book lies, or whatever the heck the case might be. But having faith in our justice system, they did find in favor of Jesse Ventura for the sum of $1.8 million. So Jesse Ventura successfully sued a widow and took $1.8 million away from her and her kids out of the inheritance that the hero Chris Kyle left behind, if it even was that sum of money, which is a good question. Exactly how much, we don't know. I don't know. It may have been entered into the courts, but still. That's kind of not a very heroic or honorable thing to do there, even if he was correct, even if Jesse was correct, taking that maybe not the most moral of decisions there. Now, what Jesse's going to do with the money, we don't know. Maybe Jesse has some spark of honor and just wanted to stand up for his name, and since the decision was made in his favor, he's saying, vindicated. And maybe he's not actually going to take the money, or maybe he's going to turn around and donate the money in the college funds for the kids, or who knows what Jesse's going to do. Maybe he's actually going to have a spark of morality and honor there and do something good. But, come on, Jesse. You claim to be a former SEAL yourself. Do you really do something like that? I don't know. I'm not too happy. I kind of think it kind of cowardly and dishonorable myself. Sometimes you just have to, as they say, turn the other cheek. So that's kind of it with for the military news. One more thing I want to bring up, though, because we are coming towards the close of the show, is I do want to lean into some of the other things going on in Washington and around the nation. Currently, there's a big wave going around because Boehner is trying to file a lawsuit against Obama for some of the stuff he's done, to include some of the executive orders that he's signed underneath Obamacare, on whether or not they're overreaches, oversteps, and violations of that law itself. So, that's potentially going on. Well, of course, that's bringing up rumors of potential impeachment hearings. And while a lot of Americans would love to see an impeachment hearing, common sense dictates that with the current makeup of Congress, it's not going to happen. Should that makeup change? Yes, the Democratic Party and the Obama camp may have some concerns, but the truth of the matter is, right now, it's not an issue. They couldn't impeach him if they wanted to. They're not going to get the 2/3 votes in both houses in order to do so. Even with this flood of illegals fiasco coming in because of poor immigration and border enforcement policies, many of which are flat-out refusals to obey the laws that were already enacted and already on the books. Even with that, there's not enough, even if it is a high crime and or a misdemeanor. So with that in mind, the Democratic Party, with the Obama camp and Obama himself, have started a campaign that you need to re-elect as many Democrats and overturn as many Republicans and elect Democrats in their place as possible. Because otherwise, if they turn both houses, they could impeach me. So, give me your money. Gimme. Give me your fair share. Redistribute your wealth into my pockets so that I can fight for your fair share later on, because you need to elect your Democrats and your liberals to protect me so that I can protect you. So gimme. But that's my words. Let's actually listen to Barry O's own words. Which, by the way, guys, this is bullpucky. There are currently no plans to impeach. Wish there were, but there aren't. So anyway, keep that in mind. Oh, just a little news before I play the clip. Is they did the same thing during a midterm under Clinton, trying to raise funds in order to avoid impeachment hearings. And I think Clinton had already been impeached once, and they were trying to avoid, in quotes, a second one, which, again, at that time, there were no plans. They had already censured him. So, let's listen to Obama's sales pitch here.
Even with all the actions I've taken this year, I'm issuing executive orders at the lowest rate in more than 100 years. So it's not clear, how it is that Republicans didn't seem to mind when President Bush took more executive actions than I did. Maybe it's just me they don't like. I don't know. Maybe there's some principle out there that I haven't discerned, that I haven't figured out. You hear some of them. Well, sue him, impeach him. Really? Really? For what? You're going to sue me for doing my job? Okay. I mean, think about that. You're going to use taxpayer money to sue me for doing my job, while you don't do your job.
Think about that, folks. He just accused the House of Representatives of not doing their job. Who is putting forth a bill to actually do something about border security? Who's actually passed bills for tax reform? etc., the House of Representatives have. They've gone to the Senate, where they should be debated and discussed and voted on. Who hasn't been doing their job? Well, Harry Reid is stonewalling these things, not letting them being put on the agenda. It's not even his job to control the agenda. It's the vice president's, who is the president of the Senate, presides over the Senate. And which branch does the vice president come from? The executive branch. And who's his direct boss? The president. And then, of course, after the president, the people. So who isn't doing their job? Well, you're not keeping your employee in tow there, buddy. Joey ain't doing his job. So you must not be doing yours. Just my 2 cents on that part. But speaking really, really briefly, because we're almost at the end of the show here, about public opinion swaying things and selling points. Here in the little small town in a stinky little speck of dirt called Texas, there's a town called San Antonio. And San Antonio wanted to put in a light rail system. The city government pretty much wanted to do this without public input. And after Julian Castro left and Ivy Taylor took over, the petitions came in against the light rail system and demanding it be put on for referendum. And it appears at this current time that the light rail, although millions and millions of dollars have already been sunk into this waste of money, is going to be stopped before it becomes even more of a black hole. And the really interesting thing is that people have run the numbers, and even if they packed the trains full for every single run, it would not even break even unless the prices of tickets were so high it would be cheaper to drive, in which case why even bother? And that's the cost-benefit analysis that was done. So, where would they get the rest of the money to these are operating expenses, not even talking about the construction. This is just to operate it. So where would they get the money? Of course, they would raise everybody's taxes within the city for a light rail system that most people don't want. So it ended up failing. So the people, even though this was done and said that they didn't need any kind of referendum or public support for it, it looks like the public outcry is going to defeat this thing finally. And what do the proponents of the project, who love Julian and his ilk, what is their comments on this? Well, they just said that that Julian and the people involved in the project just didn't sell it to the public well enough. Well, no, they tried. The problem is the people who looked into the truth sold the truth a lot better than the smokescreen. But that's the current spin down here on why it's failing. It's failing because they didn't do their job selling it to the people. In other words, the people didn't buy the lies, and they couldn't come up with good enough ones. So, keep your eyes out and keep your eyes peeled for more obfuscations and lies and spins out there. Remember, sometimes it's the truth that's just said in a way to make you think it isn't. But people, keep posted, and this is the end of the show for today, Wednesday, July 30th, 2014. This is the Mouth of Matuszak Show. I am your host, Paul-Gregory Matuszak, and I will see you back here tomorrow. So y'all have a great day and a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.